Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Hey, this is Jane Douglas for GameSpot here at E3 2011. We're joined by Dan Hay, creative producer on Far Cry 3, which we have just seen the reveal demo of. Dan, thanks for joining us, first of all. And tell us, what's the first thing we need to know about Far Cry 3?
We're here. We've been quiet about it, but we're here. And I think that you just saw the demo. You know, our focus was on coming back in a big way. We're on an island. It's lush. It's beautiful. It's savage, and you're going to need some serious luck to be able to survive there.
Okay, so you told us that the island has a dark secret and that everyone there is crazy. Yeah. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think, you know, you land on the island and at first you think to yourself, okay, I can survive here. This is going to be a great place to hang out and do whatever. And you begin to realize it's pretty tainted. Every experience you have kind of grows and you start to get that feeling in the pit in your stomach like something's wrong. And then all of a sudden you find you're running for your life. And then some of the people that you've been trusting are not normal, and they have their own little secrets, and they're dirty little secrets, and they're hiding them around the corner. And as you explore and as you discover, you begin to see the darkness, and then you realize, I have got to get the hell out of here.
Okay, and you play a character called Jason Brody. What can you tell us about him?
We're not revealing too much just yet. Jason Brody, pretty young, thought, you know, maybe a little bit arrogant, but a cool guy. But the reality is he's sort of put in this position, and he actually has to discover who he is. So like the player, they land in this space and they think to themselves, okay, I know what I'm doing, I'm good, I'm safe. And then we challenge that. And it's really about really discovering, yes, he's a certain type of person at the beginning of the game, but who are you and who is he at the end?
Okay, great. Well, tell us how Far Cry 3 relates to Far Cry 2. Are you playing a mercenary again? Is it a similar kind of setup? We see the enemies being militia types in the demo. Is it going to continue in that way? Is it going to feel like Far Cry 2?
What we did is we played Far Cry 2, we even went back and took a look at Far Cry 1, loved both those games, and there's a lot of stuff that we could take from it. But as we sat in the design sessions and we thought about, you know, what do we want to make unique about this? How do we want it to feel? What's the tone? We said, well, you had Far Cry 1 and it was on an island over here, and if you think about it as a map, Far Cry 1 here and you have Africa and Far Cry 2 here, and we said, where do we want to be? And we were like, way over there. We want it way off the map, to the place where you've got to travel 18 hours to get to it. You got to take 5 boats, and when you finally get there, you realize there's some people that have been away from people for too long. So the feeling is just that feeling of, it's nice, it's not so nice, holy crap, I need to get out of here.
Okay, great. And you told us exploration is very important just in the demo now, but the idea is that things you can explore are close by, so we're not going to be roaming all around the island for long times. Yeah,
I think, you know, Far Cry 2 was great, we really enjoyed it, Far Cry 1 as well, but the thing that we wanted to do was listen to the fans. So the fans said, love this game, love that it's a shooter, love that it's open world, of course it's Far Cry, but if there's a way that we can make the travel a little bit more accessible, and we can make it so that, you know, something as simple as fast travel. Now I'm not allowed to say that we have fast travel, but we're going to come back and we're going to have some other stuff that we can talk about. I think the key thing is listening to the fans and making sure that the game is accessible and that it's reacting relatively quickly. We want to make sure that you have exploration and discovery, but it's around every corner. You move the pawn from, you come around the corner, you see something and you go, what is that? And then you off in the distance. It's like, what do I do?
Okay, so maybe that was part of the lessons learned from Far Cry 2. Anything else that you've taken away from feedback on Far Cry 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think we took a fair amount of feedback. We talked about the tone, and we talked about characters. We wanted to make sure that we spent a lot of time focused on characters. Voss is a good example. You think about the island, and you think about the space, and you think, okay, Voss owns this little space right here. What's this? Who owns this? Is Voss the crazy guy? Or is Voss not so crazy when compared to the crazy guy who lives next to him? The real focus was on the characters, making sure the player had that emotional experience of, I trust this person's not trustworthy, oh my god, is there anybody I can trust? And you do that here and then there, and then there's a new experience, and it's just sort of varied, and we really focused on it, that cinema feel.
Okay, and for our viewers, Voss appears to be the leader of perhaps the enemy militia?
Kind of, yeah. And there's a marketing guy right over there who doesn't want me to tell you too much about the story. But the reality is, yeah, he's kind of a leader. He's got his own little fiefdom of people that follow him. But the reality is, as you move further and further on, you discover that there's a Voss here, there's a Voss over there, there's somebody else who's got his own unique brand of crazy. There's a little story over here it doesn't always have to be about, you know, a leader and a group. There can also be these little vignettes that are smaller and a little bit more dangerous. And maybe there's just one person and they don't have an army. And maybe they're crazy, and maybe they hate you, and they've got the only way off the island.
Okay, all right, we'll move away from plot spoilers before you get in trouble. Right. Obviously, the game is looking beautiful, vegetation, lighting. What can you tell us about the graphical upgrades?
Well, that was a real focus. We've got a really great art team that's focused on trying to make sure that we push the envelope of what people could think you could put into an open world. And so the key thing for us was movement. When you look into the space, this idea that, and audio as well, it's not just graphics, it's audio and the full scape feeling of it. When you look at it, yes, it looks great in a screenshot, and that it moves and it breathes and that you feel like you're in an island. That's a huge part of this game, is that feeling of discovery, and you have to have that emotional feeling of, I've got to push this plant out of the way and I've got to skulk down there. Take a look at the water. The water for us was a huge push to make sure that you could play the game and you got that feeling like, I'm in trouble, I need to dive in, and then everything changes. And it's got, the whole audio scape changes. And you get the sense of, I'm safe for a second, and I'm in water, and I can come up and I can come around. Our focus is just on making it feel very, very real.
Okay, great. And in the demo just now, we saw a very cool moment where you took a guy and stabbed him in the chest and then threw the knife at another guy on the far side. Tell us about what was happening there, and there's a little kind of XP pop-up.
Yeah, I think that, obviously it's a shooter, and obviously that the Far Cry, brand is born on PC, and we wanted to make sure that we're accessible to those folks. But we also wanted to put in some movements that if you wanted to be a little bit more contemplative, and you wanted to be quiet, and you wanted to be careful, that we're going to reward you for that. So if Jason has the ability to gain advantage of height, he can drop down and do a really nice death from above kill. Or if he can get up close, and he can make it personal, and he can bring the guy in, he can basically slit his throat and throw the knife and kill the other guy in front of him. And from that, you're rewarded through XP, and as a player, you begin to build this suite of abilities that are kind of up close and personal.
Okay, and the XP feeds into the upgrade system?
All stuff I can't talk about.
Okay, all right. To us, the plot, I don't know, maybe feels a little like Lost. Are you interested in moving into that kind of less real and more kind of sci-fi type story?
It's funny, we were talking about that. We were actually in a design section. We were talking about, where do we sit? Are we more like Lost? Do we have sci-fi? How do we do it? I don't remember who it was that was talking about it, but the feeling really was, let's be careful about that. Let's make sure that when we make people have that feeling in the pit of their stomach that makes them feel uncomfortable, we make it real. And how do we do that? And it's, I'm not afraid of the monster under the bed. I'm not afraid of a monster in a closet. What I'm afraid of is somebody who comes in through the window with a knife at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's like Boss, right? We all walk down the street and we probably walk near somebody who's absolutely crazy and don't know it. Now imagine going to a place where they live. Now going to a place where they can't get out. That's what terrifies us, and that is really the feeling of tension in this game.
Okay, that's cool. You mentioned, or you didn't definitely not mention fast travel. Can you talk about how the game experience is in real time? Do you have sleeping? Do you have that kind of Far Cry 2 type simulation element, like with the malaria medicine, that kind of thing?
There's some things about Far Cry 2 that we really enjoyed, and there's some things about Far Cry 2 that we went to school on and learned on. And I think the key thing, without angering the marketing guy, although I'm a little bit bigger than he is, so I think I'm all right, is making sure that if you played Far Cry 2 and you had a really good experience and you enjoyed it, you're going to be able to come into Far Cry 3 and you're going to have that suite of talents. But it's our tone, and it's our grittiness, and it's our characters, and it's our water, and it's just the general flavor of the world that feels different. And so I can't give away too much, but I think the thing to know is that the demo is a really nice slice of our world. And the reality is that these folks are insane, and that you're going to feel it in the pit of your stomach. And if you played the earlier installments of the game, this is a very, very nice piece of that franchise.
Okay, excellent. Let's come at last to the heart of it, the shooter experience. It's the core of the game. What can people expect from that?
What can't they expect from it, right? It's Far Cry. They're going to expect a hell of a lot of fun. If they're really good at shooting, they're going to be able to pick up a weapon, and they're going to be able to drop a lot of people fast. They're also going to be able to, they're going to have to be thinking about this stuff. What you didn't see in the game is there's a couple of weapons that are coveted, and they're in the demo. And if you catch us out online, you'll be able to actually see somebody pick them up. You have a machete, and then there's also a weapon that has a little bit more of a silence feel to it. But these are weapons that are coveted, and you've got to go find them, and you've got to use them very, very carefully, because these are weapons that are not going to show up everywhere. The key thing is that if you feel good and you've got the ability to snipe. All right, I'm going to say it, snipe. Then you can snipe. You saw an AK-47. The reality is, there's a huge suite of weapons that come from the Far Cry brand. They're going to be there, but it's really how you use them. You use them in the environment, making sure you get up top and using that sniper rifle, making sure that you get down into the jungle and you're utilizing that space and you're using the environment and the water.
Yeah, especially you said using the environment earlier, and you had that kind of waterfall takedown. Tell us more about the environmental kind of contextual stuff.
Even when Jason is in trouble and you think, I've got nothing around me to do anything with, how am I going to be successful? Use the audio, the crushing audio of the waterfall. Utilize the idea that the AI can't see you and get in behind them. Sneak up behind a tree, climb up on top of a butte and jump down for death from above. There's a lot of angles to cause trouble in this game.
Okay, Dan, thanks for joining us. Can you just give us the platforms and release date, please?
Sure. It's going to be coming out in 2012. It's on PC, PS3, and 360.
All right, great. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
The thing is, I killed you once already. And it's not like I am fucking crazy. It's okay. It's like water under the bridge. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? Jesus.